What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today is Tuesday, and over the weekend at Nationals, there was a big announcement. There was a 2017 standard format rotation announcement. A lot of people have asked me to go over this and talk about my opinion on this rotation and what's happening. Now, if you don't know, Pokemon every year adapts the standard format. They take some sets out just to make the game fresher, I guess newer to people as well. So the 27th season Pokemon will say goodbye to XY Kalos starter set through Phantom Forces, meaning that private clashes and beyond will be standard legal. I'm actually going to have a link down below for this Pokemon.com website. They go through a lot of different things, changing of the guard, different attackers like Jolted, Pumpkaboo, Bronzong, Aegislash, Aromatisse, Mega Manectric, Manectric EX, Trevenant, Scythe, tremendous trainer cards, Battle Presser, Blacksmith, Dimension Valley, Revenant. Wait, no, not Charter Break. Sorry, Dimension Valley, Muscle Band, Focus Sash, Megaphone, Zerosig, looking ahead to come out Mega Sceptile, the double everything, and the expanded format has stayed the same. So all these cards have been expanded. It is all the same, but we have lost I think like 5 to 6 sets. I think it's 5. I think it's XY College starter set through Phantom Forces 5, no 4 sets maybe. I can't remember all the things, the real things. But the thing is, we're losing 4 main sets. Now, on Facebook, I found this picture. This is a pretty good picture. It might be somewhat blurry. Hopefully, it's not too blurry. But you can kind of pick out all the cards that we're losing from the set. So I'll go over the most important ones to see what they're about. I can't remember who made this on Facebook. Actually, somebody just linked me the picture, so I just copied the picture, and there we go. So whoever made this, shout out to you. You are the real MVP. I don't know who originally made it. Sorry about that. Somebody just gave me the picture, and or just gave me the link to the picture, so that's all I have right now. But let's go over here and see what to talk about. They did a really good job with this. They split it to 2 different things. The top part is Furious Fix, Flash Fire, and XY, and the bottom is Phantom Forces. As you see, it looks like Phantom Forces is probably the biggest one of overall of what we are losing. Now, this does not include stuff that is coming out. People are speculating that cards are coming out in the future. We don't know if this is true or not. I am not confirming or denying this. I have no idea what's going on. We're just going to go over what's being rotated out for sure, and we're going to pick out some of the best cards. So, let's start from the top. Sacred Ash is a big one. You can shuffle 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. We have seen this multiple times on the video, but luckily we do have a Super Rod. This is Training Center. I think it gives your Stage 2 Pokemon 20 more HP. Either way, it wasn't really played that much. Sparkling Robe wasn't really played. Hard Charm is a big one. That's one that we're losing as well. It makes it where your opponents do minus 20 to your Pokemon. Shadow Circle says your opponents with dark energies does have any weakness. I guess the second big card is Cassius. Cassius wasn't played that much, but Cassius is really cool. Wailord, which we do feature a lot on this channel. Cassius says you pick up 1 Pokemon in play, all the cards attached to it. So energies, tools, evolutions, anything underneath that Pokemon gets shuffled back into the deck, and we will lose this card, sadly. This is actually a big deal, and you'll see why in a second that's such a big deal here in a second when we go further down. Next up is Trick Shovel. So no longer will we have Trick Shovel to discard cards from either our opponent's deck or from our deck. For the most part, it's usually from our opponent's side of the field. Super Scoop Up is another crucial one. Flip a coin of heads, put 1 Pokemon back into your hand, which is really nice. We love this card a lot. It's really good with Shaman and with the Crowbat line and stuff like that. Sad to see it go. The next up is Lucario EX. Lucario EX has started making an appearance back in the standard. It is pretty relevant in the Zygarde meta right now. If you play Zygarde, Lucario is in your deck because this is not weak to grass like the Zygarde is, which is pretty nice. Miltank, not really play so much. Power Friend does 80 if there's stage 2 in play. The big, huge one, this is probably the biggest one that we've hit so far, is Scythe EX. No more Quake Punch is in the game. No longer can you Quake Punch. Item lock him forever and do 30 damage. This card dominated the format. It did get second place at Nationals this year, and last year it did get first place. So Scythe is finally gone in the standard format. Next up is Toxicroak EX. This guy was mainly used for the Vesicant Vileplume deck to basically get around Aegislash. It did triple poison, you poison your opponent's active Pokemon. I didn't really like it, but that's the only time I really saw it. Next up is Muscle Band, another huge card. This card lets you do 20 more damage to the active Pokemon. I'm very sad this card is actually going away, because now I think our only damage booster is fighting Fury Bell. Don't quote me on that, but it'll be sad to see this go. Next up is Karina, which is, oh man, this is so sad. If you're a fan of fighting decks, Karina is going to be very sad for you because Karina makes you get a fighting Pokemon and an item card, but now we no longer have this card, which kind of stinks. Next up is Fury Torch. Wasn't really seeing that much. Next up is Focus Sash, which is pretty much the coolest fighting item card we ever had. If your fighting Pokemon is a card, the fighting Pokemon this card is attached to has full HP. If it's going to be knocked out, instead of being knocked out, they have 10 HP left, and this card gets bumped off. This card is really good on Hawlucha decks, and it's starting to make an appearance in what is it called? Medicham decks. Yeah, Medicham lets you attack twice, so it's sad to see that card. You can't use that anymore. So Focus Sash is kind of a really, really big deal, which that kind of stinks. Next up is Fighting Stadium. As you see, a lot of these fighting cards are taking a hit because of Fury Fist being rotated out. They kind of have like Flash Fire is another one of fire, so of course they kind of go with each other. But Furious Fist does have a lot of fighting stuff that we are losing. Sorry about the fireworks if you hear that or not. I do apologize for that. But Fighting Stadium will you 20 more damage to the active EX. Next up is Blacksmith. This is a pretty big one as well. It was really good in the Entei decks that we saw the cities this past year. But outside of that, it was used in the Flareon decks as well. Sad to see that card go. Next up is Startle the Megaphone. Once again, we'll go over why this card it's a really big deal. It's a huge deal. Such a huge deal that Megaphone's going away. But Megaphone discard all tool cards on your opponent's side of the field. Alright, so next up, there's Battle Porter, Magnetic Storm, Eevee with the Energy Evolution. You can search for an evolution that the energy attached to. So if you attach a Grass Energy to Eevee, you can find a Leafeon. Dusknoir, Mienshao, which Mienshao is some kind of play. Arrow Turn did 40, return this card back into your hand and all cards attached to it, which is pretty nice. Next up is Noivern with the Boom Burst, or no, Echolocation and Boom Burst. It says flip a coin if heads, your opponent's, I think it's like it doesn't hurt it or something. I can't remember if it's heads or tails, but if they flip heads, you take no damage, which is really nice. But the next huge card, so the huge card so far has been like Sidestone, must have been Karina, Focus Sash, next up will be Trevenant. Yeah, that seems like the next biggest one. Trevenant is the Forest Cursed one, making it where your opponent can't play any item cards. So this is a really, really big deal. If you are a fan of the Trevenant Break deck, you unfortunately do not have this card anymore, and that pretty much destroys Trevenant Break, because the only reason why this card was so good is because you item locked your opponent, making it where they can't use any of the item cards, because spreading 30 is not really that big of a deal. But now that Forest Curse is gone, I can't see this deck being popular anymore after rotation. So that does stink a lot if you are a fan of the Trevenant Break. Next up is Delphox. I personally don't like this card. It bumps me out of top 4 of regionals one year. I played against Cal Saberhouse, playing Delphox, Reshiram, Imbor, Rayquaza, and he beat me 2-0 in the top 4. Playing versus Genesect. I guess 5 versus Grass, so you can kind of see why he won. But it's still good. Mystical Fire lets you draw to 6 cards in your hand, which is really nice. Next up is Dragalge, Pokemon that are poison can't retreat. Dragonite EX, which we really didn't see that much. Druddigon with your Revenge, does 90 damage total if the Pokemon's knocked out the last turn. Fortress, 10 damage everywhere. The next one is Greninja. This one is not too big of a deal. Greninja will still be highly played without this card. This is the Greninja with a Water Shuriken. You do discard a Water Energy from your hand, and you do 30 damage to a Pokemon. This it is played some, but it's still not that big of a deal. It's still really nice. Next up is Hawlucha, which I consider another big card, just because it's such a strong card. Flying Press does 60, and it only hurts EX Pokemon, but still, this card was really strong. It did a ton of damage for 1 energy. Combine this with strong energies and, the Fighting Stadium and Muscle Band and stuff like that. You can do a ton of damage turn 1. And that's pretty much it afterwards. This Pyro was kind of played at some nationals. It's the one that makes it where no basis can hurt it. But during this year, it's pretty much useless. Everybody played Hex Maniac. It could destroy it. And/or Garbodor was a thing as well. So that's all here up for Furious Fist, Flash Fire, and XY. As you see, it is a ton of cards. But next up is Phantom Forces. This is another set that we are losing. And the next one is AZ. Remember how I said earlier, Cassius was a big deal? We were also losing AZ as well, and Super Scoop Up. So now it's going to be... I can't think on the top of my head. I know as soon as I say this, people are going to be like, Squeaky, this card. But Cassius, Super Scoop Up, and AZ were like your only real way to pick up Pokemon. You still have a Switch, you still have Escape Rope, but there's no real way to pick up Pokemon. You can still heal them. Max Potion is in the game, but you can't return a Pokemon back into your hand that I know of. I know we're getting Ninja Boy, which is coming out in Steam Siege. But it's still sad that we're seeing these cards go away. No Super Scoop, no Cassius, and no AZ. Next up is Headringer. This is a really relevant card. Especially since it just got second place at Nationals. You attach it to an EX and make it where they need warmer energy to attack, which is pretty nice. If you are playing a deck that to slow them down and to disrupt them. And next up is probably one of the biggest ones. I know we'll get over the biggest one here in a second, but Battle Compressor. Battle Compressor is such a good card that we are losing. Battle Compressor says discard 3 cards out of your deck. Now this did so much for so many different decks. You could discard, your Night Marchers. You could power up your Vespiquen. You can discard certain supporter cards out of your deck, so that way you can use them via Seeker. That's the main thing I'm gonna miss with Battle Compressor is you're not gonna be able to use them to get get supporter cards out of your deck. That was my favorite part, is using Battle Compressor, discarding like 2 or 3 supporter cards, and be able to use them later on with via Seeker, which is really nice. Now you can't do this anymore, which I am gonna miss this a lot. But like I said, we're gonna get rid of Night March basically, and we're gonna get rid of Vespiquen because Vespiquen can't put Pokemon in the discard pile automatically. They're still gonna find a way. I imagine Vespiquen, Flareon was still a deck beforehand without Battle Compressor, so I imagine this trend will continue. The Vespiquen players might find a way to discard them. Still, I mean, they still have Unknowns, they have Shamas, they have Ultra Ball, so they still can discard Pokemon that way. It will be interesting to see what happens. Roller Skates, flip a coin if it has, draw 3 cards. Aegislash is another big one with the Mighty Shield ability, making it where Pokemon with special energies cannot hurt it. This is a really big deal. And not so much later on because Hex Maniac was made, and Hex Maniac making it where abilities don't work, but still, having the Mighty Shield ability to kind of help you out a little bit against Night March was kind of a big deal. Next up is Crobat. If you notice, the Golbat's not on here. They actually did reprint Golbat, but they haven't reprinted Crobat for some odd reason. They reprinted Golbat, but not Crobat. I don't understand that. But Crobat has the Skill Dive. I think it's Sneaky Bite or Spooky Bite or something like that. Put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon anywhere you want to, which is pretty nice. It does combine with the Golbat that has 2 damage counters, so 2 and 3, which is 5, which is really nice. Next up is Florges EX with the I can't remember the attack, but it does 20 damage times the amount of grass and fairy Pokemon in play, which is really nice. Only needed 2 energies. The only downside is it had 160 HP. It wasn't played that much. It was kind of played a little bit last year during regionals whenever I thought that the Cellular Trevenant deck was going to be really big, so you play Wonder Energy to get around it. But sadly, it didn't see that much success, which it does, it is sad because I did like Florges a lot. Sorry about a hiccup. Next up is Xerosic. So this is another huge card. Like I said earlier, Megaphone up here. So Megaphone we have up here to discard all tools in play. Next up was Xerosic. Xerosic discards a tool anywhere in the field. So now we have Megaphone and we have Xerosic gone as well. So now, currently, there is no item card to get rid of tools. Now there is certain Pokemon that can't get rid of tools. But the thing is, we don't have item cards. So we actually have to use an attack. I think there might be an ability. I think it's all attacks, though, that get rid of tool cards. And this, I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure. Because now, the Fighting Fury Belts are going to stick. Floatstones are going to stick. Garbodor is going to become really big. Probably going to turn on abilities and probably keep it there. Unless they license up the Garbodor to take a knockout on it. So it's going to be interesting for sure to see what happens. Like, Xerosic and Megaphone being gone is 2 big things, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Will Pokemon reprint at least one of these or not? Is a big question. Next up is Target Whistle. Target Whistle lets you bring a Pokemon out of the discard pile, owns the field. This did see more recent success later on. As soon as it came out, it wasn't really popular at all. But later on, realizing like, hey, I can bring Shamans out of the discard pile and take a knockout to Target Whistle. It was a really cool idea. Next up was the Mission Valley, making it where your Psychic Pokemon need 1 less energy attack, which is really nice. This is going to hurt Turnip Break once more again. So, like, if Turnip Break wasn't dead, it is definitely dead now. You don't have the Turnip with Force Curse, and you don't have the Dimension Valley. So now Turnip Breaks will need 2 energies to attack. Steel Shelter wasn't really played that much. Robosub was played a little bit. You put it down, your opponent can't, if they take a knockout on it, they don't take a prize card, it has 30 HP, blah. The next pretty crucial card is this Bronzong. Bronzong has the ability, Metal Links, there we go. Metal Links attach a Metal Energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. And this, I mean, this is going to kill Genesect decks. Like, Genesect relies on this Bronzong. If this Bronzong is not going to be the game anymore, how do you get your Metal Energies out of the discard pile? I'm not sure. And this is another one I'm hoping that they maybe, I mean, it's fine either way if they don't reprint it, but it'd be another cool card to see reprint. Next up is Dialga EX. The second attack does 150 with the Muscle Band, 170. But since Muscle Band is gone and Dialga EX is gone, it doesn't really matter. Next up is Gengar with the Shadow Skip. I think it does like 80 return to the put a Pokemon in the act spot. This will see somewhat decently, but not really that much. Next up is Malamar EX with the Hyper Hypnosis. When you attach your energy to this guy, your opponent's Pokemon is automatically asleep, which is it was really played somewhat in dark decks. Especially now with like Dark-Eyed Giratina getting really big, you can like put a dark energy onto the Malamar, put your opponent's active Pokemon to sleep, and make it where you can do a huge damage with the second attack of Darkrai, which is really nice. Next up is Manectric and Mega Manectric. There's no more Mega Manectric. We really haven't seen this card played that much as we did last year. I think it was more relevant last year than this year, but Turbolt was such a strong card. But sadly, we would not have Turbolt anymore. We would not be able to attach two more energies out of discard pile onto our bench, which kind of stinks. Next up is the Pyroar. Pyroar wasn't really seen that much. You discard a fire energy off the Pyroar, bring a Pokemon off the bench, which is pretty much like a Lysander. And then finally, the big one is Night March. Night March is going to be no more. In Phantom Forces, that was where Night March was released. Pumpkaboo, Lampent, and Joltik was released into the game, and sadly, this card will be gone. I know a lot of people are going to be happy, some people are going to be sad, some people are going to be upset. It doesn't really matter. This is how Pokemon works. We go through decks, they go away, they come back, they go away, and they're gone forever. That does happen. Sadly, Night March was. I mean, some people are going to be like, oh, it's going to reprint. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's going to get reprinted. I'm not going to go into any hypothetical situations of what's happening over in Japan, what's happening here, blah, blah, blah. As of right now, these cards are gone. There's no confirmation that these cards are getting reprinted. I'm not sure if this is the full list, but some things to look forward into the future. If you look at this article, like I said, on the left-hand side, Pokemon does a great job of what's coming out, what's going away. Mega Sceptile should be interesting. Greninja still going to be very dominant. Like I said, you will have to find a way to get back Garbodor. Mega Quasar is going to be amazing now since there's no more Night Marchers. They can't really like do a ton of damage to you anymore. Yeah, Hoopa's still around. Shaymin still around. Steam Sage supposedly going to help out Zork more with the captivating Pukapluff. And it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. Volcaniana seems really nice. Volcaniana. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. What are some of the decks you think are going to be the most played in the next format? I personally think Mega Quasar is going to be one of the strongest decks. It will struggle somewhat with the Regice, but I think you're going to find a way to beat Regice. And even then, Regice was really only played in Water Toolbox, and since Toad is gone, I can't see Water Toolbox being that relevant. It still can be. Don't get me wrong. You can still easily take games with other Pokemon in that deck, but besides Toad was the main attacker. So there you go, guys. This is my video on the rotation. Like I said before, I'm not 100% sure what's great in the new set. I have in the new rotation. I haven't really looked up into it. Like Mega Quasar is fine. Everything that's getting hyped up right now on this little article is pretty much telling us exactly what's going to happen. I know Pokemon has done a lot more research on what's going to be more played in the upcoming formats, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. Luckily, this will not happen till I think like September, so this really doesn't matter to Worlds. But if you're not going to Worlds, this is pretty much the thing you're going to focus on and get prepared for coming up. I don't know how much Standard really matters as of right now. Because Expanded is what's played at Regionals, and Regionals is actually the first thing that comes up. Standard doesn't really come up until Cities. That's the big thing to note. At Cities, this is when things come up. Unless we have LCs and your League Challenges are Standard, then that's when things are different because then you'll play in this format. But we really won't play this format that much because Regionals is what comes up first. And then it's Cities, and then it's another Regionals, and then it's States, and then it's Regionals. So these Regionals are bigger events, and these aren't changing. And this, I'm kind of more upset that Expanded is staying the same. I don't know. I'm tired of the same decks winning, and this might change. Who knows? It might be different. But I mean, Evital, Dark decks are always the biggest one. Night March is still going to be playing Expanded. All this stuff is not going to change that much, which does kind of make me sad that they're not changing expanded. But whatever. I mean, it is going to get so hard for newer players to come in, especially if they have to go for expanded and have to get like Dark Explorers cards, which is almost nearly impossible. Like Dark Patches, Lasers, Verbanks, those cards are so expensive right now, and I do feel bad for those players. But hopefully, Pokemon does do something about this. Maybe do, I don't know, like a pack of cards that could be good for newer players who don't have like lasers and Darkrai EXs or something. I don't know. I know Darkrai EX was reprinted, but just cards like that. That'd be really, really nice. Dark Patches would be cool. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's my review of the rotation. Like I said, I'm not really concerned about this too much because this doesn't really affect us kill cities unless you have league challenges, of course. But thanks for watching, guys. What is the card you are most sad about leaving in the rotation? My answer is probably gonna be Muscle Band. I think Muscle Band is probably the biggest one I'm going to miss. Just doing that extra 20 damage is really, really nice. It was seen in almost every deck. Next to that, probably Target Whistle and or Xerosic. I think Xerosic is another big one as well. Like being able to discard special energies is really, really nice. And just be able to be a secret for the any moment is really cool. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great Tuesday. Alrighty, bye.
Alright guys, just want to give a quick shout out to our two sponsors, 60 Cards and Yeti Gaming. The links are down below to their websites. Make sure you go check them out. Alrighty.